Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattocks, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
Yesterday, we talked about the kind of chains that you've built for yourself. So today, we're going to talk about what they are and what it would cost to put them down. But before we can talk about any of that stuff, we need to talk about something that you may have never really looked at, and that's the ledger. There's kind of this accounting happening inside you right now. It's been running your entire life, and it doesn't appear in any account you can log into or any report you can pull, but it is precise and it's current. And your body knows the balance even when your mind does not. Every time you calibrate, every time you read the room and adjust, every time you swallow a genuine response and replace it with a strategic one, every time you perform the version of yourself that gets the result you need in a particular room with those particular people, a transaction posts, something gets spent. Not a huge cost. It's almost like a token cost with an AI. It's not in a way that you would notice in any single moment. It's just a small withdrawal from this kind of reserve that doesn't fill between meetings. The currency is somatic. And that's a clinical word for something simple. Your body is the bank. The fatigue at the end of the day, where kind of nothing physically demanding happened, that flatness after a conversation that went well by every external measure, the way you need 20 minutes alone in the car before you can walk into your own house, not because you don't want to be there, but because the performance requirements haven't fully stopped and you need that transition space. Those are the receipts. Those are proof that the transactions your conscious mind has made over the entire day were authorized, or maybe not authorized, but your nervous system processed anyway. The scales of justice are one of the oldest symbols in human civilization because they represent something we understand and take instinctively, that everything has a weight and the weight accumulates. And if for those of you that may be not familiar with it, there's usually in the front of every courthouse a blindfolded woman, and she is holding up what looks to be these two plates suspended by a bar. And the idea is that those plates are supposed to balance, that the scales of justice are impartial. That's why she's blindfolded. And that those weights, whatever weights are on these scales, should equal out. What happens, though, is you are adding stuff to those scales every single day. Every sacrifice you make, every little adjustment that handcuffs you and changes the way you would normally respond. Now, to be clear, a lot of this is super healthy in terms of getting along with other people. But when it becomes this sort of self-subversion, you're adding these little weights to this balance that never rebalances, that one side is always out of whack. And the other side is the story that's told in your body. Most men aren't watching the needle not because they're careless, but because no one ever told them this scale actually was working, that the depletion that happens during the day is real and it shows up in life because we're told to tough it out. And in toughing it out, we bear this cost. Our body keeps score. Makes it really hard to see is how efficient it is, how automatic it is, and how a lot of it feels like good behavior. It feels like I'm going to not fly off the handle here because it would be socially inappropriate. It would be bad for my career, all that kind of stuff. The thing about all of this, about all of these behaviors, is they're kind of like, again, this story that you've told yourself that is so integral to the way you operate and perpetually depleting this account. This isn't that there's something wrong with you. This isn't that you're weak. It's you've been running this tab for so long without looking at the cost that you are just regularly running out of the currency you need to be successful here. The emotional reserves, the physical reserves, the cognitive space. Sleep doesn't refresh your batteries in the same way. The time alone doesn't necessarily always fix it. We talked about those experiences yesterday when you put the ledger down for real for the first time, or the one time occasionally where you hit this flow state, or you're in the conversation of a lifetime, or you're with your friend and you don't have to put all that stuff on. That's all kind of examples of what happens when you put these things down. There's a skill for kind of figuring out where all of these hidden costs are being calculated. It's called interoception. And I've got a full video of that out on my YouTube channel. So you should definitely look that up if you're not familiar. But it's the ability for you to sense your own sort of body's internal states, your heart rate, your muscle tension, your gut response, the quality of the tiredness that you have, the tensions in your muscles, and all of the stuff you carry in that furrowed brow or whatever. It's all part of data that's being fed to you on a regular basis that you are taught in a lot of ways to just completely ignore. You've taught yourself this to ignore it. Society has told you it's not important by telling you to tough it out, by telling you to walk it off. Over the rest of the arc here, we're going to try and help you reassess and recalibrate to read this instrumentation that your body's providing so that you can begin to find out where you're paying these costs, what behavior it is, how much it's essentially depleting your accounts, and what can we do when the time comes to try and change that behavior in a way that doesn't undermine or damage your ability to respond productively. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. See you then.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.